Right now, we're going to welcome on our next guest. We've got John Gallagher joining us to talk a little bit about what's going on with FMCSA and their new out-of-service data, showing that out-of-service claims or reports are kind of skyrocketing for this year. John, what do we think is happening?
Yeah, so Kayla, this is for new entrant out-of-service orders, which have showed a pretty big surge. They've been recording these since 2012, or at least they've been publishing them since 2012, and since then it's been from it always hovered around 15,000 per year, but last year it shot up to like around 24,000 or so, and then this year and this is looking on a fiscal year basis. So the latest fiscal year numbers came out for the last 3 quarters. Even though the fiscal year ended in the beginning of this month, they're a little bit behind. But the last 3 quarters, it's already gone above last year. It's already topped 25,000 for the first 3 quarters. So just doing some rudimentary estimations on what the trend is going to be, it looks like it should easily, based on the last several quarters, it likely had after October, it likely already has passed 35,000 based on that trend. So it sort of stood out. So that's why I kind of honed in on that. And don't have definitive reasons for it. I mean, I'm still waiting to hear back from FMCSA. They take their time getting analysis back, but I did mention it to an FMCSA official that I was talking to in person last week, and he said it's hard to just take these stats in and of themselves without looking at what other stats are doing. For example, like just looking at the new authorities that we've been kind of tracking over the last several years that new truck drivers have been kind of jumping into the market. So it could just be that it's sort of paralleling that, but what these out of service orders are is basically within the first 18 months that you get a new authority, you'll get a safety audit by FMCSA, and in addition to actually failing the audit for safety reasons, the other reason you would get a carrier would get an out of service order is if they just don't respond at all. So in that number, that's sort of baked into that number too. So it's tough to say, is it a safety issue with these new guys coming in, or are they just dropping out because they haven't responded? And it's hard to know because they don't separate that out. But so it could very well be for, in addition to safety issues, just financial reasons. I was talking to another guy that said these new drivers might jump in if they're brand new to the industry. And I know some kind of move from leasing from carriers to get their own leasing authority, but if they're a brand new driver just coming into the market cold and trying to kind of take advantage of the rates that we're surging, if they don't know, for example, where to go at certain parts of the year for what type of freight, they don't have that background knowledge that others have. So, as quickly as they might have come into the market, it could be that they're just as quickly, dropping out. That could be one reason that we're seeing here. So it would just be good to get a little bit more, insight from FMCSA, from their data tech group, to find out, just another level of insight into what's going on.
And John, we're looking at this report. What is really defined as a new entrant? What's the timeline there? And are there any other stipulations that go into this report around what a new entrant is or what they can do?
Yeah, from what I understand, Anthony, a new entrant it's within the FMCSA person I spoke with said they do a safety audit within 18 months. So I was thinking it was anyone within a year is that you get your authority is considered a new entrant, but it might be as far out as 18 months based on the safety audit that they do. So I need to get a little bit more clarification about that. Like to your point about what this would help us know what's going on, like what type of carriers and drivers are the ones that are falling out here.
So, John, the interesting thing about this is that a lot of it might be economics at play, right? Is the fact that, as we know, a new entrant doesn't start making money right off of the bat, which driving a truck is expensive. It's expensive to maintain. It's expensive to make sure that things are up to par and continue to stay up to par. And oftentimes, if you get one of these safety audits and you get this out of service, it could be a timing of luck, right? Like you're not necessarily trying to break the rules, but you're just maybe a couple dollars short from making this maintenance payment to keep things running the way that it should be. Is that something that we're continuing to look at, is the fact that like it is very difficult and expensive to maintain your truck, and you get this out of service and then you're kind of out of luck to keep it going?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what the source I talked to in the story mentioned that too, that it's just and that sort of also, if you can't maintain your truck, now that you're moving into like safety, that can be a real safety issue. And so, yeah, that's right, Kaylee. And by the way, the other thing that stat just sort of jumped out at me, but the other stats that are keeping track of in this also on a calendar year, and that came in on this are crash stats as well. In what FMCSA is compiling here, and just to mention that, which is that was sort of interesting too. I didn't get into the crash stats in this because I wanted to keep that as a separate subject, but those actually, I was comparing the calendar year of the latest calendar year stats on crashes and fatalities and injuries, and those actually on a quarter to quarter comparison, not a consecutive quarter, but comparing first calendar year quarter of last year to this year, those have actually come down after going up, comparing the 2021 to 2022. So the crashes, quarter to quarter comparison came down 5.2%. Fatalities dropped 14%, which is a pretty big drop, and injuries came down 1%. So that comparing 21 and 22, those all went up. Crashes went up 5%, fatalities went up 24%, and injuries went up 2%. So I thought that was pretty interesting too, to see those. I was actually sort of expecting those rates, or those, not rates, but the crashes and the fatalities and the injuries to kind of inch up, because that's sort of been the trend that we've been seeing. But that would be good news, actually, that looks like good news in terms from a fatality and injury standpoint of where crashes are falling right now.
Definitely an interesting report so far. John, thanks so much for joining us this morning, and we'll be sure to check in with you as more information comes out from this and we see what this all means for overall capacity in the market.
Sounds good. Thanks, you guys.